I'm going to play you a clip from an interview with Bryan Cranston, and in it, he uses this unique wallet analogy. And although he's talking about acting and auditioning and getting roles, the whole philosophy and concept really translates over very well to being a musician. So I'm going to play that clip and then give you my thoughts afterwards.
I used to be very competitive. I used to look at someone in my age group and go, that is really good. Why is he here? Oh man, okay, oh he's good too. I've seen his work. And you could make yourself crazy with all that. Because I'm here to get a job and they're trying to get my job, so it's like it's positioning and the testosterone comes out or whatever, the sense of competition. When I adapted this new philosophy, that all went. It all disappeared. So remember, I'm doing all my work without an attachment to an outcome. So I didn't claim ownership on that role. It wasn't mine. I'm doing this part and I'm presenting it. I'm done. So if I heard a friend got a job that I also, it wasn't mine. So I can honestly celebrate my friend's job. That's what you want. This is what's going to sustain you through the year, through 37 years. If you don't make this change, a little seed of resentment will start to turn and it starts to plant itself. And pretty soon it's a plant and a tree and a forest of resentment and anger. And you will self-implode because you have not given over. The idea that if someone else gets a job that you auditioned for or you pitched, and it's caving you in as a person, you need help. Start now, adapt this philosophy. It cleanses your spirit, man. It's so cool when you can earnestly tell someone who got the job that is you're like me. Oh, good, you got it. That's great. I'm happy for you. It was never mine. It's like me finding a wallet here, and I look at it, and oh, it's yours. I'm not angry. It's not mine. It's not mine. It's his wallet. So give it to him. Hey, I'm happy you found your wallet. Because what would God, if I lost my wallet, I'd be nice if someone found it, right? It is amazing what you can do if you just let that all go. You're here to do a job, not to get a job.
Now, I really wanted to post this clip and give my thoughts on it because I've not really talked about this subject on this channel ever. And that is the whole aspect of, I think, just I'm going to call it the dark side of being a musician. Now, most of the videos on this channel are about FreeVST plugin reviews, getting music out there. I've covered some news stories in the music world. But this is something I feel like that when it comes to being a musician is kind of an unfortunate, inevitable aspect, right? And I think it translates very, very similar to being an actor, right? That there's only a finite amount of slots, and industries like music and acting are brutal, right? They're absolutely brutal, with a lot of people chasing their dreams, putting everything they have into it. And I wanted to post this because I feel like I've seen, especially with the rise of social media and everything, I've seen a lot of people get really mad, be like, oh my God, how come this DJ got this role? I'm a better DJ. Or this person doesn't even produce, or they're just a ghost producer. Or excuse me, they have a ghost producer. I'm a way better producer than them. Or, and this is happening a lot, especially right now, is the whole unique concept of influencers becoming DJs, right? I know a lot of DJs get mad about that. For me, I see both sides of this, right? It's tricky, and it of course depends upon the person. I think, like say most people in the EDM world talking about electronic music, respect Shaq, for example, who you could consider a celebrity turned DJ, but he's always been big into DJing. He's actually a good DJ as well. Like, he knows the scene, he understands the scene. I think a lot of people respect him. So someone like him, a lot of people respect him is a little different. But then people look at other influencers and they're like, oh my God, how did he or she get a role DJing or getting this residency or DJing this big party, this big nightclub, or this big festival even, when I've been DJing for 10 years, I actually know the craft of DJing or music and producing and everything, and I'm not getting that role. And I think this is a good kind of analogy to sometimes I think more for you than anybody, because let's be honest, every musician pursuing their dreams in music, I think has to deal with the unfortunate inevitability that sometimes, or I'd say a lot of the time, which is part of the industry, you're not going to get those roles that a lot of people get. And I think even a bigger thing on top of that is sometimes, and it's very easy, I think, to think this way, and I remember seeing this, I think when I first started producing, I think someone said, be prepared that you're going to get mad, that you're going to realize a lot of people who are worse at producing than you are going to get bigger roles than you, right? But I think this all kind of comes down to this whole aspect of just having the right perspective and right analysis, right? And I love that kind of analogy he uses with the wallet, that he went into, like, say, getting jobs and getting acting gigs and auditioning, that as opposed to, like, say, him saying, and let's be honest, I know a lot of musicians think the same way. Like, as an actor, as he said, you go into a room, and I've actually done this. I've actually done auditions, which sucked, by the way. Auditioning is the worst. Being on set, I've actually been on set, and I've done, like, some, like, extra work and some small roles in movies, is super fun. But the auditioning part sucks. So you're in this room with all these other people, you're like low-key, not judging, but like scanning, being like, all right, I'm a better actor than them. Or like, do I fit the role better, right? And like he talked about how he used to think that way, being like, oh, well, I deserve this role, I have to get this job. But then he started realizing, you know what, if someone got that job, good for them, because they deserve that job because it fit them the best, right? And I think that's a good way to start maybe thinking, to have that right mental frame or mental shift. Start thinking like, okay, you know what, like this one influencer, right? It is easy, let's be honest. And I think this is just an unfortunate part of being a musician, maybe an unfortunate part of life. Deadmau5 called it the roll of the dice that is life when it comes to if you're successful or not in the music industry. Let's be honest. There are influencers who might be worse than you at DJing or at music or producing, but they can sell more tickets than you, right? Like there are some influencers out there who have such a big following, they're probably going to sell more tickets than you. And it's one of those things like, you know what? Do they deserve that role? You could argue yes or no. In some cases, yes, because they're selling more tickets. And remember, at the end of the day, when you look at, like, say, especially the EDM industry, and you look at places like Vegas or Miami or these big hotspot nightclubs, when people go, they're saying, hey, we want to sell tickets. It's a business. It's about the bottom line, whether we like it or not. Now, granted, there are some other situations, take music festivals, that care more about the craft and the creativity of music and what goes into being a musician, right? But for a lot of these big nightclubs, talking about the EDM industry right now, it's all about the bottom line. And I think it's very easy, like I said, and I've not really talked about this kind of stuff because one of my goals for this channel too, by the way, in 2024, is to start kind of teetering, and I want to be careful how I approach it, on the idea of like things like mental health and stuff like that, because I know for musicians, and they've done studies on this, people in creative fields, like being an actor, being a musician, etc., deal with a lot more difficult stuff, for lack of a way better word, than most average people in a 9-to-5, in terms of being told no a billion times. Mental health, I know, is a huge thing. Anxiety, depression. You know, you constantly asking yourself, is this worth it? Almost like an existential crisis. There's a lot of tricky things that do go into a creative industry, and especially one so competitive like music. And that's why I want to post that video, because I really do like that approach that he has. And again, it's not something that I'm going to say, you know, that's like the most perfect thing for you to try to get bigger gigs or get better roles, so to speak, or get better slots in a festival or get that slot at that nightclub or whatever. But I think it's a good analysis to have on yourself, right? Like I remember, and this is actually a really, really good point. Maybe I should repost this video as well in the future. There was a podcast with Excellent Sound, huge fan of those guys, and Ghastly, huge fan of Ghastly as well. I met him before at a Coachella party, super nice guy. And remember, Ghastly said that he saw Jaws, very famous DJ and electronic artist right now, blow up, almost out of nowhere. And I remember Ghastly said, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, he said, look, you know, he's like, I had two choices in this moment. I can either A, say, oh, this sucks, like be resentful, be kind of like pissed off, being like, WTF, like I'm working and he blew up and now I'm like this person. He goes, but the thing I decided to do with what, and this is what Ghastly said, is he said, you know what? I looked at that and he said, you know what? It's possible. I could easily have been mad and jealous and envious that my friend is now blowing up and here I am still making beats in my bedroom trying to make it. And I could have easily gone down that route and had that mentality, but I switched it to saying, you know what? it's possible. And I think that kind of coincides with the wallet analogy, like Bryan Cranston used, that Jaws started getting those roles because, hey, as opposed to being mad at Jaws for getting those roles, he said, you know what? You deserve those parts, those roles. I know I'm using the word roles more of an acting way, but it still translates to music and getting gigs. Like, these are things that you deserve because of that, like, kind of bass house style that you really pioneered, in my opinion. You deserve these parts that you're getting, these slots, these gigs, these festival appearances, these nightclub shows, et cetera. And not only did he kind of be excited for him as a friend, which I know sometimes is tough to do, right? It's the definition of cognitive dissonance when, let's say, in the music world, you, let's say, have a friend or someone close to you blow up and you don't, and you're like, shoot, like WTF, and you're happy for them, but you're also like, oh, I wish that was me. You have this kind of cognitive dissonance. But, using that wallet analogy, it's like, well, you wouldn't get mad if, so, let's say, you found a wallet and you're like, oh, this is someone else's wallet. You wouldn't get mad at giving it to somebody because it's their wallet. It's their gig. It's their role. It's that festival slot, right? And then in addition, like Gassy said, the whole aspect that, it's very easy to look at that, but he decided to flip the script and say, you know what, it's possible. If Jaws can do it, then I can do it, right? And obviously Gassy is now a major DJ and electronic artist. And likewise, Bryan Cranston, when he was starting out, as he said, did not get all those roles, but he kept positive, had that kind of mindset of, you know what, they deserve that role. Like, I'm here not to get a job, but to do a job, as he mentions. I think it's a really good perspective to have. Like, you're not there. Let's say, I know you don't really audition for gigs per se in the DJ world, but let's say you're sending out those emails. You are contacting people via DMs or messages. You're trying to get those gigs. You're doing whatever you can. You're networking and everything. You're not there to, let's say, get a DJ gig. You're there to do a DJ gig. And like Bryan Cranston said, I think that is a good mindset shift that sometimes, and it's kind of an unfortunate reality, some DJs deserve and should be in that slot more than you. And I think, again, I know it's not the most mind-blowing thing in terms of like how to get a better gigs or get more gigs, but I think it is an important mental shift because the music industry is absolutely brutal. It's a very difficult one to succeed in. I mean, if you think about it, I know people have complained about this, especially in the past couple of years, that I know during the pandemic, a lot of people said, look, after the pandemic, if the festival lineups are the exact same, it's going to be so annoying. And I hate to say it, I kind of see there's a pros and the cons to this, right? And there's a reason why, if you look at a lot of festival lineups, for example, there's the same artist every time on them. It makes some logical sense because those are the people that sell the tickets. On the other end, though, I think the unfortunate thing is that there are a lot of musicians out there who definitely deserve those slots. But again, I think changing your mindset, changing your perspective, I think is a really good kind of angle to take. Because like I said, in this industry, in the music industry, and I've experienced this, right? Trust me, I'm not saying this in type of like an objective way. This is something I could talk about subjectively as well. Maybe I should do that in future videos, that it's a brutal industry, right? But you got to keep at it, keep hitting it hard. And I think having this big mindset shift can help a lot of people realizing that, look, if someone else gets a gig, as opposed to being mad, resentful, jealous, etc., I think, you know what? They deserve it. Why would I get their gig when it's their gig? It's their wallet. It's not my wallet. So why should I be mad at them for that? Having that good perspective can really go a long way, especially when things do not go your way.